What's up, world? I am TJ, and this is Nativerezmedia, your place for opinionated tech news, reviews, and entertainment. And today we'll be looking at the DJI Osmo Action Camera. This action camera came out about 2 years ago, back in 2019, and it was a decent little camera back then. But since then, DJI has been putting out firmware updates, and it made it into a beast of an action camera, and it is competing with some of the better known ones like the GoPro Hero 8 and Hero 9. Everyone who hears GoPro, they're like, oh, yay. DJI is making a name for itself over the past few years, especially with their drones. And this is a great action camera for the price. I think it retails right now for about $199. That is on Amazon. And if you go to your local Best Buy, you'll find this action camera. And for that price, and that's versus a $400 GoPro Hero Black, you are getting a great camera. So I'm going to dive into the box, then I'll go over the specs, and then I'll tell you my overall opinion of what I think about this camera in a second. Without further ado, let's get into the box. So let's see here. Opening up this box, it has one of those little pill things on here, but I put a spare one that I had laying around. I cut this one a while back. But opening up the box, the action camera itself had these little stickers on them, these little stickies covering up the screens and things like that, and this was covering up the action camera. Then it has another box nestled in here, and inside of this box, the accessories this thing comes with, it's fairly minimum, but it'll get you going. It has its own proprietary quick disconnect setting, or set for the helmet, and a flat mount. So let me see here. Let me just dump all of this stuff out of here. So you have your manual. It is on the side of the box there. You can read through it, learn a little bit. It has a warranty and quick guide and things in there. So we're gonna set that off to the side. Man, what's that? And some stuff in Chinese. For more information, check out our online store. There you go. And so we're gonna set up over to the side. Then you have your battery case. The battery comes inside this case. You can pack that away as your little screw for your mount here. And this is the quick kind of disconnect mount that I was talking about. So if you have this mounted on your helmet, and this is mounted on the actual case that is the camera's in, you can slide it on here, twist it, and it locks into place. Press that down, turn it, and take it off. And you can put it on the flat mount if this is mounted on the top of your car or wherever you have it mounted at. So I find that pretty cool. They have their own little proprietary connection there. The case itself is installed on this camera right now. It's fairly simple to remove this case. You pull it back, open that up, open the back, and then you just push the camera out. The case itself feels somewhat sturdy. It does its job. It gives it a mounting point on the bottom, because this one does not have a quarter 20 threaded hole on the bottom like the Kazo Brave that I also reviewed. But these cases, you can go on to Amazon, you can find aftermarket cases and metal ones, and the CNC ones, things like that will make this even better. But for now, the one that it comes with is a great case. And then you have the camera itself. So before I get into the camera, I am going to go over some of the tech specs here, and we'll just read off what's on the box. First off, you got your dual screen, front and back of the action camera. You have HDR, you have Rocksteady, that is the built-in image stabilization. Then you have the 4K 60 frame per second recording ability with this camera. You have waterproofness of this. This is waterproof up to 11 meters without any kind of protective case on it. So if I drop this in 12 foot of water, it'll be fine. So no worries. And I say 12 foot, but it'll go down to 11 meters. I'm just saying, if you were in a pool and then you drop it in there, some people will try to correct you on that. But then you got your 8x 1080p there. And then the other settings, this does record in 1080p. It records down to 720. And whenever you go down to 720, you're getting, I'm talking 240 frames per second. I think more than that with this one, but I'm not certain. I never plan on recording that low and at that high of frames. But you got 1080p, you got 2.7K, and then you got your 4K built into this. And I'll go over a little bit more of that when I go through the camera itself. This also has the lens cover that can be taken off. You can unscrew it and screw it, change it out. If you have any kind of ND filters, you can buy aftermarket lens covers with ND filters built in. So if you're out in bright sunlight, whenever you go into manual mode on this, you can tweak your ISO and your shutter speed a little bit better. And that is another feature that I liked about this over some of the more budget. And when I say budget, we're talking $40, $50 less than this cameras. And then this also has external mic support. That is something they did with the firmware. You can buy an external adapter to hook into this port of the action camera. It goes into the USB-C port there, plug it in there, and then you can hook up an external lavalier mic or a wireless Rode mic or something. Depends on what you need for that. I find the built-in mic on here is adequate for most things, but sometimes some people might need that external mic if they are going to be setting up the camera and walking away from it, if they want to be wireless and whatnot. So that is nice additional features that DJI did add to this camera. And the battery life on this action camera is about 135 minutes if you're recording at 1080p. If you are going to be recording at 4K and I say above, but 4K 30, 4K 60, you're going to be looking at around 63 minutes of battery life. So about a little bit over an hour, which is adequate for most of us. If you need extra batteries, go on Amazon, buy a couple of extras. There's aftermarket batteries for this thing all day long, 25, 30 bucks that come with a charger, and that'll keep you going all day. The battery that comes with this is a 1300 milliamp battery. Taking this battery out of here is fairly easy. There's two safety switches on the bottom. You have to unlock both, and the battery will spring out of the bottom of it, and it pops out like so. Fairly easy. You just push it back in there, make sure it is locked into place, make sure you don't see any orange on those safety switches, and the battery's locked in, and you are good to go. This action camera does support the app, the DJI Mimo app on your phone. You connect it via Wi-Fi. There's a setup, and then you also have to register this to get on the app and things like that. It is pretty nice. Inside of that app, you can go in there and change any settings inside the camera. It's actually easier to change the settings on the app than it is on the camera itself. It's all pretty upfront. The GUI, the genuine user interface, is pretty easy to get in there and dial things the way you want it for the camera, especially if you're outside and you have this mounted on your head, mounted on a car, something like that. Just connect it to the app, boop, 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 press a couple of buttons, and you are good to go. Now we'll go over the button placement and things like that of the camera, how it looks. Of course, you have your front facing screen on this camera, you have your rear screen on this camera, you have your on button at the top, you have your shutter button, your start stop record on the top. Coming over to, this is on the, I believe this is on the left side of the camera, you have your quick switch. If you hit that, that's what switches the screen from the back to the front or from the front to the back. You can also have inside of the software, you could have different modes set up with that quick switch. If you hit it and you hit it again, it'll switch from whatever you have set, like 1080p, time lapse, things like that. It'll switch to those as well. So that is a neat feature that they built into that side switch. And then of course you have your port for your USB-C, then you have your micro SD in the bottom there. I think this ports up to 256 megabyte or gigabyte SD card. And then coming down to the bottom, you have your battery port. You got that removable lens cover. If it gets scratched, remove it, get an aftermarket one or get another one, plop it on there. Turning this camera on, it is fairly simple. It's like some, you got to press them and hold them. This one, you can, just press it once and it'll come on, but you press it and then it turns on. It's fairly simple there. So now I'm going to just quickly get into the screen on this. Both screens are adequate. The one on the back gets bright enough. The color accuracy is good enough to where if you are looking through this, you can get a decent depiction of what you are actually seeing in the real world. It is not going to be perfect, obviously, but it'll get you to where you need to be if you are outside on a scene somewhere and you need to get your color, white balance, and everything set. If you swipe up from the top on this screen, you get into a quick menu. You have your configurations that you can save. So if you like to record in 1080p, 30 frames per second, you can set that as saved. And if you want to quickly switch to 4K 60, you can set that as a saved configuration, and whatever white balance and things like that, it'll be in there. You can come over next, and that's the screen brightness. You can dim it or brighten it up. I think I was the brightest setting. Yep. So you can have that set up. Then you have your lock. Then you have your actual settings menu where you can go deeper down into the settings. You have your auto rotation. So if you have this inside of your car mounted as a camera, it will automatically rotate when you flip this over. The screen will flip itself. You can turn that off if you don't need that feature. Then you have your auto metering quick button toggle there. You can have that on or have it set to focus on a certain object and set the balance based off of that. Then you have your voice controls off or on. I like to keep those off because I learned my lesson when leaving those on. You say certain things, the camera hears something, it'll start or it'll stop recording. So keep that in mind whenever you use voice controls. It's neat and it's nice when you need it, but if you don't need it, make sure you have that turned off. And then the last little quick toggle on here is turning the front screen full or off. So basically, if it's full front screen, you'll be able to see yourself, frame yourself fully in the front screen. And if you have it turned off, it basically will kind of show the bars to where it's kind of how it is actually recording. It'll give you a better representation of your framing when you have it set to off. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing your little selfie pictures or selfie video and stuff like that. So we swipe that up, and if you swipe from the bottom to the top, that's going to bring up a different menu, which is I think I have this in what is this, in camera mode. So we're going to switch it. Let me switch it over to video here. Bam. So in video mode, you can have it set, and you can set your settings in there. So 2.7K, 24 frames per second. So if you go to, let's just say if I want to record in 4K, then I go to the bottom, I want to record in 30 frames per second. I can set it there. I can turn rock steady off or on from that menu. That's basically how you do it. You just swipe and then you set what you want there, and I'll swipe that away. And if you swipe over from the right to the left, that's going to bring up my actual settings for my video or my camera, depending on which one I have turned on. So for video, you go into manual mode. That's where you can set up your ISO, you can set your shutter speed and things like that. If you go to auto, it's just going to be your ISO max. You can set it, you can see it kind of on the side here on the left side where you can set what the maximum ISO you want it to go to, and then you can plus or minus your exposure value, and then it'll automatically adjust your shutter speed and things from there. Then you can come down to the camera icon down here, and then you have your auto white balance, or you can set your white balance. You have your color. I have it on the Decini like, or you can have it on normal. Decini like just desaturates the color. It's more of a flat color profile. It's better for post editing your color and post. I can't even get the words out. It's better for color grading your color in post. Then we come to de-warp. If you have this on the super wide profile, sometimes the edge can warp. It's kind of almost like that fisheye. You set it on de-warp and it straightens out your footage. Then you have your format, and it's an MP4, stuff like that, which is awesome. So if I go to white balance, if you come over here, you can have it set to underwater white balance, custom white balance. Whenever you set it to custom, you can go in here and you can tune it to whatever white balance you want. So if you want it at 4700 Kelvin, you can do that, and you can take it all the way up to, I think it's 6500 or something. It's higher than that. It goes all the way up. So yep, 10,000 there. So 10,000 Kelvin there, or I can set it all the way back down. So I'm gonna just keep it on auto for now, and it looks pretty good on that. So let's swipe that away. Get out of here. Bam, auto. There we go. Swipe it away. All right, and so if we swipe from the left to the right, That's going to pull up our video menu. If I recorded any footage or took any pictures, it's going to show that, hey, look, there's a picture of what I'm looking at right there on there. So if you keep swiping, you can see other footage that you have in there and things like that that you have saved on your SD card. So we can swipe that away and it brings you right back here. So fairly simple. And if you look up at the if you look up at the left-hand corner, I have my SD card in there. If on 4K 30 frames per second, I was to record, I got 55 minutes of recording time there. If I was to swipe up and set that to 2.7K 30 frames per second, it'll go up to 68 and 40 minutes and 46 seconds there. So that is a pretty cool feature. So and switching this from the back to the front, if I double tap with my two fingers or if I hit the quick switch, it'll switch. So if I do that, it switches. Now I am over on the front selfie camera here, and again, front selfie camera, I don't have it on the full screen. I have it framed up to where, you know, this is how it would look if I was to take the footage off here and put it on my computer or something. So that is why I like that. And it also still on the front camera gives you your representation of the battery life, what your frame rate and your resolution is, and that I am recording with camera mode and not just taking pictures with well, I'm recording in video mode and not in just camera mode. So that is the general features of this action camera. I will now show you how some of the footage looks. I'm going to go through 4K. I think I did 30 frames per second, 1080p. I did 2.7K. I did some HDR footage. I did some time lapse. So I'll play some of that footage for you so you can take a look at what it looks like coming straight from the camera. This is with no color correction. This is using the auto settings and things like that. 1080p, 30 frames per second. .7K, 30 frames per second. .4K, 30 frames per second. .7K, 60 frames per second. .1080p, 120. No image stabilization. .4K 30 frames per second. This is vlogging with the DJI Osmo Action Camera. I'm using a standard little selfie stick. Camera is about, I don't know, 3 feet away from my face. It's about a meter for you guys over the pond, over on the other side of the big ocean there. And this is with rock steady on as well. I don't know how the audio sounds. I have the image quality set to pretty much auto, everything. Basically what you can get right out of the box. All right. And like I said, I took this out with my son on a hike. I put it in a chest mount thing, and then he was you know, running around. I think we got some footage of an owl. I don't know if we were able to capture it that good, but it was pretty nice to have the action camera. And you know, you could see, I think I was recording in 2.7K 30 frames per second when he had it on auto, white balance, just basically mostly auto. Other than that, no ND filter or anything, and with rock steady on. And like I said, it was mounted to his chest, and I was using this chest mount, and this is a whole nother thing that I wanted to talk about before I go over my conclusion on this action camera. I actually purchased one of these little cases. Look, it still has the tag on there. I still haven't taken it off. I've got this from eBay. These are like 10-12 bucks on eBay for one of these cases here, and I got the kit with all these little accessories in it from, where did I get this from? Amazon, actually. It was one of those flash sales, like always on Amazon, and I think, you know, it comes with so many different accessories and stickers and stuff like that, and different head mounts and all that for 15 to 20 bucks with all this, and most of this stuff will mount right up to this and to the action camera's case itself. Obviously this is proprietary, but either way it goes, if you need stuff, this helps you out. It even came with the little selfie stick there that you can put on there, which I actually used this a couple times when I was skiing or snowboarding, so it's pretty nice. So keep that in mind. If you need accessories, just go on there, or you can, you know, be bold and buy DJI accessories if they have any, or what, GoPros for like, I think it's $40 just for the chest mount. This thing probably was $1 because it came with a $20 set. Yeah, but anyways, my overall opinion of this is very good. Obviously, I probably missed a whole bunch of features that this thing has built into it, but this thing's been out for 2 years. There's plenty of videos on this action camera, but for the price that you're paying, like I said, this is mid-grade here, mid-range, in the middle. Though the expensive ones, you're talking, like I said, the GoPro 9 Black, I think it is. It's $430, $450, something like that for that thing. And the GoPro 8 is $200 or three and some change plus tax. This $199. And the next one down from here, you're looking at the Akaso Brave 7 LE for $140, or the Brave 7, which is about $150. And that one, the gap between this one and those, that $40-50 bucks, with the features and the quality that you're getting out of this, that I said it in that video and I'm gonna say it in this one, just save up that extra $40-50 bucks and go with this. I'm sorry, Akaso, I love budget stuff, but the 7, the new one that they just came out with, everyone's been talking about the audio. The audio is just abysmal. I saw the reviews on it. That's why I didn't get that, and I went with the 7, the LE version, because the audio on the 7 is just terrible. Yeah, a lot of the times we're not using the audio out of the action cameras. We get the footage and we just play it as B-roll or whatever. But if you're a family man and you want to capture your son doing something, you know, that he shouldn't be doing, jumping off of a roof or something, you gotta have some audio of him breaking his legs. But but I'm just saying, like, you want to have all that, and if the camera doesn't have good audio, it sucks. And so that's why the 7 was just not was a no-go for me, and that's why I decided to go with the Osmo Action over the 7. And you know, I have my LE, and my LE, I don't know, I'll probably be selling it or getting rid of it, because this, I would rather just, if I needed 2 action cameras, I'd rather just go out and save up the $200 and get another one of these, because of the features and being able to go in and set your ISO manually, your white balance and everything like that manually. It means a whole lot to a lot of people who not just do it professionally, but who like to tweak and like to have that ability. Because if you are not a tweaker, you can have it on manual settings and then do that. But if you do become over time someone who likes to be able to do those things, this camera will do it. And it's fairly rugged. I think this will withstand the test of time, especially if you use this case, or if you go get one of those aftermarket small rig cases, or some similar to that, PJY cases for this action camera. They will actually help you out immensely as well. With that being said, I will conclude this erroneous, wild review. But thank you guys for viewing. Thank you guys again for liking, subscribing, things like that. If you have any questions, comment down below. You all have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe, and Peace out.